Estimates are we lie 10 to 200 times a day. The average human, not criminals, the average human.
I'm not talking about deliberate, bold-faced lying. No, the kind of lying that I'm talking about is actually even more dangerous because you don't know you're doing it. It's the kind of lying that comes from not being psychologically strong enough to be honest with yourself. Self-deception.
We fool ourselves into believing things that are false, and we refuse to believe things that are true.
And it's your biggest obstacle to creating your ideal life because it keeps you stuck. It keeps you from growing because you can't change something you can't admit. And at the end of the day, self-deception can leave you with tremendous amounts of regret for the choices you made and for the choices you didn't make. Self-deception is relevant to everyone. So it's certainly relevant to businesses because my assumption is that you have a business and that means you inherently have personnel. You work with people. People lie to themselves and they will keep themselves from growing and evolving and being their best self.
I saw it everywhere, in everyone. We lie to ourselves about the smallest details, such as how much we really ate today and why we didn't list our actual height and weight on our driver's license. We lie to reflect our aspirational goals. I'll only have one glass of wine tonight, when I know that I'm drinking at least 3. We lie to uphold social ideals. I never have sexual thoughts about anyone except my spouse, because that wouldn't be acceptable. We lie about our most important life choices, such as why we married who we did or chose a given career path.
These are the moments in life where you look back and you say, I knew better. I knew better, but I didn't do anything about it. If you ruined your relationships, you're gonna have to live with that. If you didn't become your best self at work, you're gonna have to live with that. As a psychologist, I can tell you that living with regret is one of the most painful experiences you can have as a human. Because you can't change your choices in the past, only your choices in the present.
Why would a leader hire you for a keynote?
I'll help you change. I will tell you the truth about how you keep yourself stuck, and I will show you what it costs you. You want better employees, you want more money, you want more profit, you want to be more successful, you want better relationships, a happier work environment. I can teach you how to get more of that for yourself, but you have to be willing to look in the mirror. It's going to be hard. I'm not going to be easy for you, but the end result is going to be well worth your time. I get a lot of requests to speak all over the country and sometimes internationally, which is really fun for me. I love it. And the reason that I hear that a lot of people want to hire me is that I'm not a traditional motivational speaker. I'm a clinical psychologist, and so everything I do is really coming from a foundation in academic psychology. It's all informed in research and data. And I love to speak, so it's a lot of fun, but I'm gonna be different than the typical motivational speaker because I'm not here to just say, yay, you're awesome, you can do this. I'm here to say, oof, you need to look in the mirror, this is gonna be really hard, but you can do it, and if you do, you're gonna benefit greatly. If you use the 3 A's of authenticity, you can live a more fulfilling life with more of whatever you want. You can be happier, more profitable, more successful, because you will be taking control over the only thing you have control over in this entire world. You. The 3rd A of authenticity is action. As you press pause and look in the mirror, you have to do something with the information you've learned. You have to change. So how are you gonna do this? How are you gonna take action? There are thousands of things you can do differently in your life. But one of the most important ways that you can change is to evaluate your thinking. Use your brain. The biggest return on investment that a company is going to get if I come and speak with them is that everyone in that room is gonna know that you care about who they are as a human being and that you are invested in their own personal growth in ways that will make them better. And anytime you invest in a person instead of an employee, you are going to get better results. Honesty requires risk. You risk changing your whole life. Self-deception is much safer. We live in it. We breathe it. It's so much easier. But it also restricts you. It limits your freedom, and it limits your power. Self-deception will hold you back from becoming amazing at whatever it is you want to become amazing at. Because until you can acknowledge how you're plateauing and how that plateau is put there by you, how you're your own glass ceiling, you're never going to rise above it. And when it comes to leadership, one of the first ways we see self-deception manifest is by blaming everyone around you instead of taking responsibility for your role as a leader. Right. So one of the first problems you'll see in leadership is they aren't willing to acknowledge how they're contributing to something that they don't like that's going on in their company. You might be thinking, okay, I see it. I do lie to myself sometimes. And everybody I know lies to themselves all the time, because it's so much easier to see how other people lie to themselves than to see it in yourself. But you might be thinking, Dr. Warren, these all seem pretty insignificant. I mean, is it really that big of a deal if I tell myself that I can have an extra donut today because I worked out yesterday, or that I avoid thinking about death, or that I blame somebody else for the fact that I'm not as successful as I want to be? This is where I'm going to push you to dig deeper. Because the truth is that although all of us lie to ourselves, you built the foundation for your biggest lies as a little child. Perhaps you learned that if you threw a temper tantrum, you would get what you wanted. Perhaps you learned that it was more important to uphold the family image of nobility and perfection than to admit its flaws. Perhaps you learned that it's easier to believe that people will change than to admit that they may not. The ways that our early childhood affect who we become are endless. What we learn as children dramatically affects who we become as people. And the areas in which you felt most insecure, most unresolved as a child, are the areas in which you will be most prone to lie to yourself as an adult. I also use quite a bit of self-disclosure, meaning I share ways that I've lied to myself, because it's really important that people understand that this is true of human nature. This is true of all of us. And just because I'm a doctor and I'm a professor and I'm a psychologist doesn't mean that I'm immune to deception. It's a trait of humans. Cry and cry and cry. I felt this tremendous panic take over me. I couldn't let him leave. I was desperate to make him stay. Looking at me with a mixture of love, confusion, and annoyance, he said, "Court, what's wrong with you? Why are you freaking out?" And the truth was, I couldn't tell him because I didn't know. As he turned to leave, he looked at me and said, "I don't know how to help you, but if you continue to act like this, you're going to ruin our relationship." I give very easy, actionable tools that people can use to do something really hard. Because change is really hard. You really have to push yourself. It is not an easy topic. Life is not easy. Let's pause again. I invite you to think about your childhood. Think about something that was hard for you. Take out your sheet of paper, perhaps write this down for yourself. What is one message that you learned as a child that is directly related to the lies you tell yourself today as an adult? Write it down now. If there's one recommendation or one very simple tool that I would tell people to get started to become more honest with themselves, it is this. Anytime you have a strong reaction to something and you want to point out something outside of yourself, you want to tell me what this person did to you, or why this situation was so hard, or why you acted the way that you did, pause. Stop. Go look in the mirror. The mirror is your tool here. This is your opportunity to understand what you are bringing to the table. We're so quick to look externally for answers in our life, and the truth is that only you know what you need to change to live a more fulfilling life. So stop blaming things around you and take ownership for who you are. You can start right now. You can start doing things differently today to know yourself more deeply and to create a better life for yourself with more of what you want and less of what you don't want.
Be more honest, liars. Choose to become more honest about the lies you tell yourself. Use the truth to live the most fulfilling life for you, because you've only got one.